Number 5. It is resistance to recognizing the situation and more resistance to being responsible for the changing of it, as well as the induced feeling of overwhelm that blocks the participation of the majority. The willingness to be responsible for personal conduct and to change the focus of perception is buried within the busy, frantic schedules of daily existence. Individuals find solace in their excuses for not confronting the growing signs of coming oppression. Breaking down this line of resistance and drawing as many of these into the new planned pattern of life remains the goal. Those of the dark plan have set their focus to overwhelm any human beings with plans to resist and have preconceived plans ready to move toward the crushing of resistance. However, there are none for the coming of a new vision. This leaves that opening available to us, in fact, the ideal opening. Our plan is not to fix the old, but to create the new. There will always be the repetition of certain ingrained habitual thoughts, hopefully not to the point of nausea. The skill of speaking, indeed even thinking, discreetly on the subject of those with plans contrary to the will of creation will aid in helping to bring that style of referring to them into usage. The more variety in this application of presenting the subject being discussed, the better. It is easy for focused individuals to get right to the point, but this will not serve in the long run. It might be appropriate to point out that a linear progression within the scope of this project will not always be apparent. Divine order is the order of the day. And divine order does not follow man's ideas of sequence at all. You have set up certain unspoken, subconscious rules to give sequential order to your experience. The forces of God do not have to follow sequence to have organization. Therefore, it is important that once the process is initiated to a critical point, then you must trust in its completion of itself without the ego control so familiar to each of you. This is imperative, lest you monkey wrench your own dream. Our cooperative effort in it is that, must begin, continue and end with focus on a completed goal. It is the composite of dreams of what a utopian world would be like, one that each would truly like to experience that will bring this to pass. This is the opposite of the resistance that is expected. How much time do each of you spend in this utopian daydreaming process? Survival daydreams are more the norm in the group that we are depending upon for this formative process. Granted, such a thing as easy earth-compatible energy sources are a part of that dream, for luxuries of easy living are not appealing sacrifices for freedom of oppression. This is what is automatically supposed will be the cost of such change. Would a new paradigm of experience be without comforts? Different comforts probably, but I doubt anyone will feel any regrets for having given up the present situation. This again is the resist or be shoved backwards thought process that must be abandoned. That you want what will make your experience even better is a given, and it should be assumed. It must also be assumed there may be a short period necessary to endure in order for this change to happen, but it can be shorter than you might imagine. When this pivotal project is accomplished, our help is not only allowed, it is mandated. It is the beginning think tank discussions that will bring about the beginning of the change of expectation to an ever-expanding group. Think of a stone tossed into a pond. The ripples reach out to affect a greater and greater area. We call it a critical point. You refer to it as the 100th monkey theory. Think of the counter-thought group as having to send the ripples in from the outside to the middle. Remember, they are creating what is not in accordance with the laws of God. Their concentration is toward containment while your focus is toward rippling outward. Now, which one do you think works better? When these ripples meet, what happens? If you are using the same pond water, which one is likely to overwhelm the other, especially if the stone that is dropped is becoming larger and larger in what might be interpreted to be slow motion? Remember, there are vibrational effects that are and will be brought into being that cannot be observed by you. Each time the thought pattern is focused toward the goal, it becomes further intensified. As it intensifies, it becomes more magnetic and attraction begins to build. You are not likely to surprise any of the contacts. What you are most likely to hear is that it has been in their thoughts already, but they just hadn't made the effort to follow through with its implications. The process will become appealing and challenging when you begin to dream of ways to use the mechanisms put in place for the use of those of opposite intentions. Doesn't that sound intriguing? Rather than destroy and resist, it might be possible to use some of what they have in place for your own intentions. You have focusing powers that are capable of many things when there is group participation, and a few innovations of your own can be added. Remember the pipe that sends vibrations to the crops in the fields? Ever wonder what else it is capable of doing? You might be surprised. Even the sound embedded in Dan Carlson's music tapes for the growth of plants might be interesting in the presence of their focused vibrations. Just a thought or two about what you already have available. Number 6. The light begins to change its focus as the window changes in what might be considered depth, as layers of intentional activity will be added. The focus becomes more intense in the area on which it is aimed. Now this can be an advantage as it can bring the focus to a greater clarity. That the cloak of darkness appears to you to be getting more intense can have its positive aspects. The closing of the noose is not as unobserved by the masses as you might think. Intuitive feelings are becoming aroused. The critical mass of awareness is being aroused and the other side is well aware of this. Remember, there is a weak link within their plan. They are going to demand that their army of militia turn on their own people, indeed their own friends and family. That is a key point on which there will be reactions that they cannot predict. This allows openings in their plan. They seem minor to you in your consideration, but these can be used to great advantage, for sometimes a moment is all the focus of light may need. Ours will not be a plan of resistance. It will be the lifting up of a vision into manifestation through the minds of many. When the picture of what has been carefully planned for them is repulsive enough to their imaginations, don't you think that they will turn with enthusiasm to a vision that thrills them? Remember, there will be those who will choose otherwise. There will be a division. There will be enough that have been either won over or will be lost in the desire of continuing to experience the menu which has been fed to them in the media barrage directed at them. This will be a point you will have to deal with, as will all that join in this plan for transcending the decade into the new birthing opportunity. All will not choose to join, and here you must recognize the free choice of experience given to each. It is not so much hardening your heart toward them as an attitude of allowance. Remember, there is no death. Only the end of an experience in eternity is incomprehensible. It is not for any of you to judge what the experiences of each individual means to the completion within each soul. The soul draws to itself a composite and makes of these experiences patterns that dazzle the imagination. The dance of duality, darkness, and light, as you will, are part of the play. You must not become disheartened at any time, for there will be those who will surprise you. It is for you to keep your eye on the vision and to watch it unfold into creation from your limited perspective. That too will be fascinating. How will you know? It will be difficult in the birthing phase, for in the beginning the process of a babe hardly looks like anything but a maze of dividing cells, with no apparent organization. At the critical point, all that miraculously changes into a form. Then the challenge of preventing an abortion will become a dual focus. However, that too shall be handled. Remember this, as you begin to help yourselves, more and more cooperation from various forms of manifested light can assist in ways you, and even I, cannot imagine and may never be privy to know about. It is the focus on the vision that shall attract this assistance towards success. We can continue to present this information to you, but there can also be discussion. Questions can be asked as long as they are pertinent to the process at this point. No divining allowed. Just focus on one stage at a time. What your continuing roles shall be as the plan unfolds will be revealed as each day arrives. There is no already existing vision except in a dim outline that is set up by the influence of the universal laws. At the time of filling in these outlines, those will be made known to the founding parents in very simplistic terms. KISS will be the order of the day for the entire project. How is that going to be possible within the contributions to the vision by many? Trust the process. The planet is experiencing on an entirely different level than it was when the founding fathers of the US followed this same path. Note, this time it is founding parents, and that in itself is a raising of the level of experience. Both energies shall be present and it shall make for a doubled energy focus. Though women knew the last time and supported as allowed, theirs was not a contributory role except as an outside influence. Neither shall dominate, for the vision must move beyond such selfishness and bring about a synergistic wholeness. At this point, you must not concern yourselves with the manifestation of their plan. You know of it, you are expecting it, and so it must be ignored. Your focus must be on the moment and what is to be done. If that which you do now puts you in danger, perhaps you should begin laying plans for doing something different. Not yet in this moment, but soon. Perhaps this surface activity cycle is drawing to a close. It is only a suggestion to be considered, though you already have toyed with it. We leave it to your discretion. Corporate business will be allowed for activities that do not make big waves. Opportunities shall appear for your consideration. Travel shall be safe for a time yet. If you miss a plane or a flight is cancelled, take it within your stride. There may be many reasons apparent in retrospect as to why you were not to be on a particular mode of transportation. When travel is no longer safe, you will know. The focus of your intent now is to work within the activities of the parenting process. End number 6.